We're good. Ladies and gentlemen, it's 6 o'clock. We'd like to start the meeting off with all rise for pledge of allegiance, please. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands one. We have so Can I have you all stand again, please? This is 9/11 today. I think we ought to a moment of silence, please, if you don't mind. Thank you. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is a roll call. All 5 council members are present. Next item on the agenda is consider approving the minutes held from August 21st. We'll make a motion to approve those minutes. Motion made second by Mr. Groto. All in favor? Item on the agenda is old business. Cannot use one trails right now.
Yeah, so last week, or 2 weeks ago, we presented a bid from Outdoor Sports Institute, kind of tabled it, wanted some more questions answered. We have John Gardner, Barbara Bowling, who's the president of the KMT Trail, Shirley Benelson, and Jean Roy, here to answer some questions that were brought up.
Yeah, first, thank you for having us. We really appreciate being here. I'm a resident of Oakland. My husband and I moved here 3 years ago. We came from Boise, Idaho, which is something of a mecca for trails, public trails. So you really can't even imagine my delight when I discovered the Messalonsky Stream Trail. I have a dog. We have a dog. And then upon living here for a while longer and meeting Peter Garrett, I found out that we have 41 miles of trails in the Kennebec Messalonsky Trail System. So this is a wonderful, wonderful thing. The only one that we have in Oakland, though, is the Messalonsky Stream Trail, which we, oh, and the schools, right, the school ones as well. But it is, we consider it one of the jewels in the crown of our trail system. We have been walking it for 3 years, but Shirley and Jean have been pretty much walking it forever, right? And Jean was making it at some point as well. We noticed when we first got here that there was some erosion, but after 3 years of being here with some of the extreme weather events that we've had, things have gotten a lot worse. Many of the bridges are in danger of completely collapsing. John is the head of the maintenance committee, and he's going to answer most of your questions. But we just became aware that we better get involved. This is an all-volunteer organization. We do apply for grants. We get some support from our members. If you want to donate $10, you become a member. So we have a mailing list. So we do have some support from other sources. Oakland has been a wonderful supporter of this trail. They have provided us with materials. And I'm going to let John speak to that since he's head of the maintenance committee and can speak more articulately to the specifics. But having walked the trail several times and talked to several people, I can see that there's erosion here and this bridge is not so steady and this board needs to be replaced. But someone quickly pointed out to me that I'm not trained in this area. I'm actually a horticulturist. So I'm going to turn it over to John and let him continue.
Thanks. So if you probably figured out, we're married and I live in Oakland as well, obviously. Yeah, and just wanted to iterate again my thanks to the town for all the support. Kelly's been great. Eric Seekins and Eric Marker now taken over to him. AJ, Tony Thibodeau, the fire department has helped doing, been out there with a chainsaw. As you might imagine, the storms last year were brutal. I think we finally have all the trees cleared. Maybe there's a few step overs, right? I think still further back. There's still a few trees down way deep in the smallest.
Always trees.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's an ongoing thing. But the real problem, as Barb just alluded, is erosion and wear and tear. The trails don't last forever. There's some widening going on. There's some places where it's on a slope where the berm is starting to cut. Now we got a problem where the trail might start eroding down the hill. There's areas where you put some small bog bridges in because it was muddy. Those acted as dams, and now we've got a much bigger bogish area because it kept the water there rather than letting it pass through. The bog bridge is further in near the point. If you've been down there, we're talking about 1.5 miles in. Those are rotting and are now very unsafe in some places. So those need to be addressed. But the big problem is the bridges. There's 5 bridges over the streamlets that enter the stream. They're made of hemlock spans with hemlock planks across it. Those spans are failing. At least 2 have failed already. Fortunately, those were bridges that have 3 spans. So there's still 2 spans there, but another span has failed. Roy and I hiked in there about a year ago. Gene and I hiked in there about a year ago and put up a brace to hold it up there, but it's all Band-Aids now. The 4th bridge has some rotted planks, and AJ and Aaron have supplied the planks. Now we have to schlep them in 1 mile up the trail and replace those planks. And we're committed to doing that, but this has now become, it's a Band-Aid. It's very clear these bridges are not going to last, and it's going to cost a lot of money to replace them. So the plan here that we'd like to put forward is to apply for a recreational trail programs grant in the near future. We can apply to get up to $50,000 to do that. But the core of that proposal is a solid budget. And that's why we want to do the trail assessment. Outdoor Science Institute has a lot of experience with this. They understand the standards of what it means to make a trail that's going to be stable, it's going to last through the conditions, and the standards for bridges, and can come up with an estimate for us, and then we can build a budget around that. KM Trails is committed to being a part of this. Well, Barb and I are experienced grant writers. I will be happy to commit my time to help write that proposal. I just finished one about 6 months ago with Waterville to help refurbish the Pine Ridge system that got torn up because of the solar farm up by the airport. And so we're, so we have some experience in this. We worked with Outdoor Science Institute for that as well. We followed the same pattern. We hired Steve Kasachik from Outdoor Science Institute to come in, walk the trails. I was there with him. He put a lot of time into that report, and he gave us a solid budget that we could then build thing around. So that's what we're asking for now. And the last thing I'd like to say is that KMT, the board just met Monday, and I've been authorized to tell you that we'll put $800 into this to help defray the cost of that assessment. So that's about 1/3 of the cost, I think. So really, thanks for consideration. I'd be happy to take any questions.
So with their 800, we would only be asking for 1575 out of the Metzlowski Trail fund that we have, which has about a little over $10,000.
Familiar with the company that's OSI that has made a proposal to us?
Yes, yeah, so they're the ones that did the trail assessment for the Pine Ridge Trail in Waterville, and I worked with
You
them.
come up with a plan and a program that is detailed enough to go for a grant?
Absolutely. Yeah.
We weren't familiar with it.
Yeah, and I wasn't either before we got to this, but they've been, I'm also a member of the Central Maine New England Mountain Biking Association. And Chris Riley, who heads that up, has worked with them a lot. And I was just chatting with him before the meeting, and he's got really good things to say. He's worked with them well over the years. So, and he wasn't aware of anybody else that does this kind of work. I'd read the minutes. I know there were some questions about we should get more quotes. I mean, I think that's a great idea. That's always a good idea, but we don't know anyone who does that. So.
And they do produce a very nice packet at the end, the assessment, the maps, and it's very thorough. The pictures, what they did for Waterville was very.
I would guess he spends about an hour in prep, or a day in prep on this. He'll spend a day on the trail, and he'll spend a day putting it all together at the end. And so that comes up to about $100 an hour, which, not nothing, but it seems reasonable.
Do we have any knowledge of how close their estimates were on other jobs, so if they estimated it was gonna be 35,000 somewhere else, and they came in at 35. Is there any history as to how close their estimates were now?
So what he did for, the Pine Ridge system for water bill was he gave a range. And because it depends on, are you gonna have to build a bridge here or there, and he doesn't get down into the total nitty gritty, though he probably will have a much better job here, because in Pine Ridge, they were actually laying out new trails. Here, we're just gonna hopefully just do a little realignment here, and there's not a lot of room to work, frankly. My understanding is he tends to estimate high. So if we, if we can work a proposal around that, we'd be safe to get done what we need to get done.
We have a question for you. How many of you walked that trail in the past year?
It's great.
Yes, so
Did you say in the past year?
yeah,
No, the past year.
past year, yeah. It's changed a lot. There's a bridge where you go around a corner. It's the second bridge in from the parking lot. There are actually tree roots that are suspended because there's been so much erosion underneath
Yeah,
us.
so it's really bad trip hazard. Yeah.
Yeah. And there are a lot of things like that. And the idea of having a trail that's gonna be more, we can always have a weather event that's gonna make our lives a misery, but the idea of getting something that's gonna be more stable, more resistant to these weather conditions is very appealing to me.
I know there's a lot of people use it, there's always cars in the parking lot over there.
Yeah. Mr. Gordon. I don't have an issue with this. I would want to push this forward. I feel that this is no different than the town going to an architect, getting plans for a new building. So that we're shelf ready for any grant. And that the intent is hire somebody, find out what needs to be done. Apply for a grant when they say, are you ready to do this? Yes, we have shelf ready plans. Then you're more acceptable to getting a grant. I want to move forward.
Gene, did you have?
Is that a motion, Dave?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead, sir.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm not sure exactly when the bridges were put in at 03, 2000.
Yeah.
That's
21 years old. Hemlock doesn't last that. Awesome. We're right on the verge of people getting hurt, they fall into that rocky ravine under the bridge. A lot of the boards that we replaced on the bridge, you drive a spike in, they like going into the cheese. That's just picking up, and if you put the spike in, all that does is hold the board from sliding. It's like the whole top of those logs is just, it's off.
I make a motion, we put this money out to, get prepared with an estimate in case there's some grants available.
Second, all in favor? Oh, sorry, everyone.
Just a question out of curiosity, what's the liability land on these trails and bridges? Someone to put in. Planning to do.
I think I can answer that question. This came up, when we were water bill. So Maine has, very specific laws about, release of liability for the publicly accessible trade. So that apparently is completely not a problem. Thank you.
So motion's been made and seconded by Mr. Bowman, all in favor?
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for your time.
And thank you.
Thank you for yours. Yes, thank you.
People say, "So you're on the lead." We haven't.
You want to do my time? You're going to join us?
We have a website. They're paying for any.
Thank you. Yeah, there we go.
Thank you. Next item up is recreational vehicle occupancy, discussion again. Kelly.
Yes, so we took into consideration, the questions concerns in the last ordinance draft that we had, so we created a new one. Hopefully you've all read it. Our main goal is to protect public health and safety and the welfare of all citizens. And to make sure the waste is being disposed of adequately. As government officials, we need to make sure things are decent, safe, and sanitary. The new draft ordinance asks that individuals just let us come register with our code office. Let us know you're there. We changed the dates, so from like April 1st to October 1st. We got rid of the 120 days. From a safety standpoint. You know, we need to, if there was a 911 call, if there was an emergency. We need to know where people are, and a camper doesn't have an address. We did add something in there, about 30 days, if it's just a family, you know, you got your cousins coming from away, staying for a couple weeks. If it's less than 30 days, we don't need to know. Prior to issuing a permit, we would need to have either a pumping schedule from a licensed, like a Stanley's, someone that pumps the sewer. Or if you're hooked into the sewer line, you need to know that. We're not trying to make people homeless. We don't wanna, you know, kick people out. We. You know, this is, it's more of a health and safety concern in my eyes. We did have some complaints of people dumping sewer down the catch basin. That's a problem.
1 minute, we're gonna let her speak. Thank you.
I'd like to let Nate kind of take it from here.
I mean, no, that's just the major concern, it's just making sure that we have, that we have, proper septic. We are a moving town, we're over 4,000, so we are held to a standard other than small towns like Rome, where it's, Boston is Quebec, but Smithfield, all the other outlying areas, so we are held to a different standard. Yeah, for dwellings, right? So if well, I don't know how long, it's like, look, it's how long recreational vehicle recently before it's called a dwelling. The dwelling, it has to, the move back standards, it has to have some foundation of a sort. For the energy standards, which is R25 walls, over 60 ceilings, so on and so forth. It's not considered a mobile home, say, because mobile home has its own board, it's in supersede the IFC of the source of footings. So, I mean, I don't know what the determination can be, but I mean, that I just feel that there's something that there's a balance that we can come to in order to have this. I'm just trying to. You know, we don't want to make a point about it. The Dreamback is made to form
Building an energy code.
if you're over 4,000 people, population 4,000, we play by the rules. So there is that too, right? So we do have to kind of like flip down, have that balance of we have to play with MoveAct, and we also have some idea of it's temporary. It's gonna be year round. If it's gonna be year round, why is it gonna be year round? So there's certain scenarios, this isn't really other. So.
You want to take no question, sir?
Couple of questions, I noticed that it has changed. It's actually, in my opinion, much more restrictive than the previous ordinance. But one question relates to, at the last meeting, it was mentioned that the reason for this ordinance was that there were complaints made. Who took the complaints? How were the complaints recorded? And who investigated the complaints?
I don't be complain and I'll honest and whatever the other
You found raw sewage and.
find any raw sewage. No, that was the statement that was made.
That's the basis.
I mean,
Am I misunderstanding?
I would say that's been mentioned a couple times, yeah, but I wouldn't say that's the basis of this.
It's not a basis.
Getting ready your sewage, it probably is the basis of it, sorry, yes.
Yeah, that is already.
Yeah.
Main statutes.
Yep.
And the town ordinance.
It is. Well,
It is. You'll have to read it.
yeah.
I didn't bring them with me. I did read.
Yeah.
So. That, I'll leave it at that.
Sorry, you had a statement? Question?
So is this new ordinance going to supersede the flood zone ordinance for recreational campers? Because that ordinance in existence is 180 days. So we gotta go say, oh, here in town. You gotta go buy this, but if you're in a flood zone, you have 180 days.
Possibly, yeah, that's something we can look into.
Really good point. Yeah.
So my question would be, since the last meeting, prior to the last meeting, there were complaints. And since the last meeting, have we visited each one of these campers of concern and spoken with the residents that are living there and done an assessment of what needs to be done to make them safe? And have we invited or made aware everybody that has one of these homes to be present tonight so that they can be well aware of what's going on before somebody knocks on their door and tells them they're all done?
I have not done any site visits to these places before when, last time. We have not knocked on anybody's door.
But our biggest concern is their safety.
Everybody's safety at that. It's not only that safety, but you're also wondering what's happening to the sewage. Where is it going? I know we have 2 mobile homes or RVs or recreational vehicles on our street that are on other people's properties. We don't know where their septic is going. We don't know if it's leaching into our well.
That's kind of why we want to create something with some standards, just let us know.
Standards already exist. Sorry, the standards already exist. Sorry, they do. Some of them, in fact, are in town ordinances that already exist. And I apologize, I don't mean to be.
I'm sorry, I'm just confused. There's already standards in our ordinance for campers
Concerning sewage disposal.
in our shoreline.
Sewage disposal isn't specific to just camping. It's homes as well. You can't build a home without having some
Well, that's why
means to
there's
dispose of
building
sewage, is that correct?
permits And
That's why there's building permits.
Right.
we know, yeah.
So in this case, we wouldn't, if we didn't know a camper was in there, we wouldn't be able to. Yeah. Okay.
They took some pictures of campers, let me believe, you knew that
Von Boland?
Is there anything in this ordinance, whether it's a duplicative type thing or not, that is a concern?
this one,
Yeah.
this proposed ordinance?
Yeah.
There must be, there's gonna be. If you're going to occupy it for 30 days or more cumulative in this summer period, you have to get permission from the town, from the code enforcement officer to occupy it for those 30 days. And you have to identify specifically what dates it's going to be occupied. To me, that's restrictive. I don't, that's just my opinion. And there's no basis in law.
If you're gonna be there for 30 days between April 1st, October 1st, yes.
So outside of, if I'm there for 30 days outside of, after October 1st, I don't have to get permission.
The last paragraph, extended occupancy. You just need to let us know.
No, I didn't say extended occupancy. That says specifically, there's going to be
When a
occupied.
recreational vehicle or camper is placed on property for longer amount of time than between April 1st, October 1st, all requirements for residential structures shall be met.
So I can't even park it on my property according to that paragraph. It says if an RV is going to be on property. Doesn't say if it's going to be on.
Wastewater disposal. or- That's what.
I just have a complaint. We live in an RV, and when we moved in, I went to the town office and I let them know. And we're hooked up to town sewer and all of that, we pay our bills and everything. The only complaint I have is someone went by, 2 men went by asking, and were taking pictures of our camper. How did I know they weren't casing the place? Maybe I felt violated, it made me very uncomfortable. And I haven't really felt safe since that. So I think if they're gonna take pictures of someone's home, they should be asking permission.
Further questions, comment? But this time, I would like not to act on this. I'd like us to work on it. I think Kelly brought up a good idea that maybe we should go visit somebody's place and check them out. And we'll come back and continue on molding this and working it out. And if our biggest concern is, not, it is our biggest concern, is that the safety and welfare of people in the camper and the people around. I know, for instance, there's one gentleman in here, who's actually going to build a home. And he's gonna live in his RV for the winter during the course of time. Giddy up, you can hook into his sewer system and all good to go. I personally feel that little invasion here when we start taking and finding out how long you're gonna stay in your camper and what's the date you're gonna stay in your camper and, you know, so I just think we don't wanna get too far out over our skis and treat our residents of Oakland with respect and dignity. Some of them can't afford much more than that. That being said, that was my take on that, and I'd like to push it forward, sir.
I just need to know more about the Newbery, rules for communities with more than 4,000, they have to. The buildings, occupancies, need to comply with certain state laws. And I admit that I'm not familiar with what state laws are. But I guess what we need to know is are some of the RVs that are being inhabited year round or for months, are they governed by the UVEC standards? And if they are, is that a state enforcement issue or is that a local plumbing inspector issue? I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if Nate does.
For me, it's definitely the code and plumbing. Yeah. Like you're asking.
I'm sorry, say.
Yeah. I mean, if you're asking if it falls under the jurisdiction of plumbing and codes, that, yes, it does. That's all that is codes standards.
So to know whether or not a recreation vehicle is being inhabited is up to state standards, which I assume is something you're supposed to do, or the town is supposed to do. You would have to go inspect it. I think that's where we're headed. I mean, unless somebody has a really good idea about how we can make sure that the septic is being properly disposed of without actually going and inspecting each of these RVs in the town of Oakland. I'd love to hear a suggestion on how to do that, but I can't
Can
think.
we
of what
ask
it is.
each one of those inhabitants what their plan is, since they have to have one?
How would you ask?
Go and see them.
There you go. Well, that's what I just said. You'd have to
No,
go
I
inspect it.
agree.
Yeah.
There's your answer.
Where's the answer? Oh, it needs more.
I wanna take a little different slant to this. So an individual buys a camper, places it on their lot. When they buy it, you pay excise tax, correct? And you don't pay the excise tax again until you register it.
Well, it depends on if you buy a deal or from a dealership.
Once you buy it, that's it. Unless you register it for the road, you have to pay excise tax again, correct? So if I take the camper and I park it on the lawn for 5 years or in my lot for 5 years and never register it again, that individual, correct me if I'm wrong, is using all town resources for not paying any property tax.
I never right.
Sure.
Uh,
Somebody's paying for that building though, or paying taxes on that building.
state of Maine says, if you have registered my camper, I can kind of roll it into my property tax for the town.
Correct.
So what's the mill rate in Oakland? No.
14 something.
So I wasn't here last meeting, it's out of town. Father stood in for me. $2,400 register camper. It's not a money issue. It's really not. But I just blown away. In the minutes it said it's a money issue, it's not. I can pay the property tax on the day of the camper and come in less than the excise tax. It's another offer. But
And I pose that as a question because I didn't know, so. Garth?
Mike, our camper, we register it every year. Well, up at the town, we have city water, city sewage, we have it all. I mean,
we've tried to move on. But it's so hard to find a rent in a town that you love and you really wanna stay, that will take a dog. I mean, and what you can afford. I mean, the rents are just ridiculous in this town. But, you know, people are hard. People gotta stay where they gotta stay. And they gotta make do with what they got. And I don't see a problem with anything of that. You know, my lot, I have a lot that it's on. And I pay a lot rent. He pays property tax on that lot. People pay property tax on their land. They should be able to do whatever they want with it.
And I agree with you, we just need to know where the septic waste is going.
Okay, so
That's our
when
main
does the
concern.
invasion of privacy come in?
It's a health and safety concern,
Right. So that's a real touchy situation.
it is,
And how do you address that? That's where you gotta start with.
where we're trying to figure out.
At this time, we'll continue boldly getting working at massaging it. Next item up on the agenda, introducing two new police officers, Chief Cover. And come on up and bring your officers through, if you will.
Craig Johnson and Andrew Reed here.
I can hear you, sir.
Sorry?
Didn't hear you.
Yep, we have Greg Johnson and Officer Amanda Reed. Craig has 30 years of experience, comes to us from Winslow PD. Many of you know his dad used to be police chief here, so he's in a good place. Took a while, but we finally got him here. He's got prior military as well. Amanda also has prior military. We stole her from Gardner PD. She came highly recommended, has 6 years of experience. We're very fortunate to have both of them, especially in a day and age where it's very difficult to get police officers. This brings us up to full staff, actually, so very fortunate.
Welcome aboard, thank you.
If you have any questions?
Thank you guys for coming in, thank you. Next item up.
Mr. Chair, can I just ask, did we have a vote about tabling this ordinance? I don't think there was a vote. Do we need a
No, we didn't
vote?
need to vote on it.
Okay.
Did not need that. Next item up is the finance update.
Yep, so. We had hired, previous town manager end of May. Finance director. That would. Didn't work out, long commute, 2 days a week wasn't, cutting it, so we need someone in the office 4 days a week. So we hired Cheryl Mould. She'll be starting on Monday. She has successfully worked in financial services and government and higher education for the past 25 years. She's held positions in accounts payable, payroll, accountant, deputy auditor, senior staff accountant. She's experienced in monthly and year-end closings and reconciliations. Financial statements, chart of accounts, receivables, general ledgers. It's also certified with the Maine Municipal Tax Collectors and Treasurers Association, so when she starts, you guys come in, stop down and see her, she'll be in the basement and in my old office, so.
Next item up, appointing delegate and the alternate and an alternate for the MMA business meeting.
Yep, so the MMA business meeting is gonna be held at the convention on October 2nd and 3rd. Abby, myself and Cheryl are going to attend. They need voting delegates, to be designated and an alternate. So I've filled out the form, just need your signatures down here. We will be attending that meeting. It's at 1 o'clock on the 2nd. Civic Center.
Next item up, the boat launch, Methodist people boat launch project.
Yep, just an update on that. We had planned to do it this fall with full emergency, road repairs, sewer repairs. We've asked the state to postpone it till, spring. The state has agreed to allow us to do that, which will give Boyd some time to design it, go out to bid. get the quotes and. So that will not be happening this fall. We are funding that till spring.
Next item up, update on landfill.
Public Works is almost done. They're in their week 2 of the project. Probably need another week or so. They've hauled in a lot of clay, 5,000 yards of clay to get that up. And then taper it off and then cover it with loam. DVP has been out to inspect, twice, and they're happy with the job that our guys are doing. They're doing an amazing job, so kudos to them.
Update on 113 County Memorial Drive.
You have a question, Don?
Yeah, the blacktop side road. It's gonna be,
They did it today. They did it, the road was closed today and it will reopen. Yeah. Pavers are in town now, so. One of the things I wanna talk about too, 10 lots. Railroad track jump.
Much better.
It's gone.
Much better.
You there, I can try it.
Can't get the left anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, go bottomed out on that. And plow damage. Yeah, so it's gone. They rinsed it up and they paved over it, so it's a nice. Yeah. The house, on the corner, movers are scheduled tomorrow to move the rest of the remaining stuff out. Still waiting on the paperwork from the one sister that lives afar. She said she mailed it to me last night, so I should have it by Monday. And then we can set a closing date.
Okay, I'm sorry, council meeting.
Yes, October 9th, there is a scheduled council meeting. This is my last child's senior night for field hockey. I would like to either cancel, postpone, or maybe have Jan take over my absence. As of right now, there's nothing on the agenda. And I really don't want to miss her senior game. Which one do you want to do? Cancel, postpone?
Cancel it unless something emerging, so.
Okay. Yeah, I could cut it for next meeting.
Motion made, second by Dana, all in favor? Other business,
The Cascade storage building on Railroad Ave, I know Dana and Dawn went to tour it, the other day. Damage, the water damage on the back. We asked 3 people, 2 said no, thank you. One gave an estimate of $21,270 to fix. We do have 4,000 in the budget for a roof. So that would be 17,270 that we would have to buy to fix that. It is cold storage. The old building, they used to get the big woolen mill. Dana told me this, big bunch barrels of wool off the train and store them in that building. Way back when.
go on.
so is the $21,000 just for the foundation?
Sills and beams. Yeah,
So 25,000 to.
No. and the roof, yeah. Yeah,
Does that involve anything with the pilings, the foundation
I
work?
think it's everything, the post, you can't put a foundation under it.
Well, it's got piers
Yeah,
around
so
it.
it'll replace the rotting piers and then the beam across the bottom. The rock.
There's a couple of 3 concrete piers on the back side that frost has jacked them up so they're tipping.
Yeah.
But the main problem is the rock, which is on the wrong side. It's very easy. If anybody wants to look at it, they've got it dug out, they've exposed it, and
You can see it there and it's a mess. But, I went and looked at it wondering if we would be better off to do a patch job on it with anticipation of what the budget sometime for a different building. This is a huge old building to maintain. We put money into it off and on. We put siding on it, we put windows on it. They don't work out in the back because that brook that crosses Heath Street comes right up behind it from the water's high. And you've built in behind that little museum, and there would be no way for a contractor to get in there with big beams to jack it up and really fix it right. You just couldn't get the long beams. It's 40 foot wide. You're building it, you need beams at least 40 feet wide. There's just no way to put them in through all those piers and hold the thing up. So I don't know why we've been putting money into it. Not every year, but I mean, I think 7 or 8 years ago we did some, and a few years before that they did some more, and it's a building on the slab would be much easier to maintain in the St. James complex down there on Belgrade Road, but you know, we don't have money in the budget for anything like that. And we don't have money in the budget for this, so we really would have to have a special town meeting to spend this much money to do the repairs, I believe.
So what's in it? What's in it now?
There's a lot of stuff stored in it for the recreation department.
Fire department.
The fire department has equipment stored in there. There's picnic tables in there, and there's material for the Oak Fest is stored in there. And there's some material up on the second floor, not as much as there is on the first floor, but
All the
They
youth
were-
football gear, the shoulder pads, helmets are stored up there.
you'll see once in a while when the sports seasons change, the recreation department be there with all the parents coming to get the equipment for their kids to change their football equipment to their basketball equipment or whatever they do. So it does get used, and we gotta have a place to store that stuff, but it's a pretty expensive old building with the money we put in it over.
When you build a slab that big, how much money we gonna talk to?
Well,
Put a slab down, you get concrete, you know, all that stuff. Concrete adds up fast.
Yes.
5, 6, 7,000, and then,
but our crew could do more than that.
you know,
But, you know, I think that would be down the road place. I think we have to do something now to make the place secure, because that side is gonna cave in.
oh, yeah, yeah.
Can you see if the floor joists are solid or rotted out?
I couldn't hear you.
Can you see whether the floor joists are rotted out or
Oh,
something?
yeah, you
solid?
can see right under it. You can see that the stringers that run along the side are rotted.
I know the main
Some
carrier.
that come crossways, the carrying beams that are under it crossways have rotted off before it gets to the pier. So those gotta be replaced back to the other pier. So there's gonna be some work underneath it that's gonna be done, and it's,
I guess what I was getting at, it's a good chance that some of the floor joists are rotted out. That's another ball game.
what?
The floor joists. There's gonna be some other floor joists in there. They aren't spanning 20 feet without any
No, they got,
floor of it.
they got, oh, they're probably at least 8 by 8 beams that go crossways every 8 or 10 feet.
Okay, so they're not spanning.
And the ends of those have rotted off, at least 3 or 4 of them. So that it's dropping that end down, so that it's gonna be replaced back to the first pier at least. So there's a lot of work to do now. And it's a very difficult place to get at to do it.
So at $25,000, you're 25% of the way to $100,000 storage building.
What do you say?
So if you look at replacing the building that's $100,000, you're a quarter of the way there, to throw money at this, throwing lipstick on a pig essentially. So you could almost, what's in that building, because I've been in it. If it's storage of old equipment, aka old equipment, it's gone. So you can shrink that building size down, build something smaller, more usable, easier to maintain, and still store what's needed for the town. So I think we should look at another option before we commit to $20-some odd thousand to put a Band-Aid on it.
And I wondered if we could do a temporary thing, just some blocking off the ground or whatever to hold those piers in place until such time as we could go to the people with a budget rather than another special town meeting and do something immediately for $20,000.
Put a few $1,000 in it, then I'm sure we don't lose it completely.
Right. I would think the key is find out how much space we really need there, you know, we've got 2 full floors of storage. And yeah, get rid of the fire department's equipment, the old stuff that we keep on hand, or the kayaks that they need for special purposes. You know, we can get rid of a lot of stuff. But if we don't wanna get rid of a lot of stuff, because the recreation department uses, we use it, what would it actually cost to build a new building somewhere else that would hold everything that we wanna store? So I think it's important to get that. I think it's gonna be more than 100,000. That's what I'm saying, but it's gonna be a lot more. I think it's gonna be a lot more than 100. It's gonna be a couple 100,000, 300,000, who knows? Well, we can probably get an estimate.
It doesn't have to be heated, cold
No.
storage, slab, metal.
The foundation is
Foundation cost you big money.
PJ was gonna put some numbers together when you got a chance to see what it would, an estimate of what it would cost to replace the building. And like Dave says, the more storage you got, the more stuff you keep. So if we didn't have as much storage, I'm not sure we would keep all the things that's in that building.
And having yard sales helping.
How old is it, Bill?
So let's table this at this time. And
I had a question.
sorry for the question.
Yeah, how old is it, Bill?
Well, I'm saying it was probably built when Cascade Woolen Mill was built. It was down back here, because it was part of Cascade Woolen Mill. And like Billy mentioned, the wool come in on the railroad station, which was right up by Main Street. They put it in that building until they were ready to use it down here, and they hauled it down there to use what it was there. So it's, I don't know, how old was Cascade Building? 18, no, 18. I mean, it's many years old. There's some nice beams in there, some really nice looking construction in there. You see the peg beams, and there's been work done to it over the years, so it isn't all original.
Is there any historical grant money? No.
There's been so many things to it, I'm sure you wouldn't have a historical. It's got vinyl siding put on it, it's got metal windows put in it, and there's been a lot of changes made to it over the years just to keep it weatherproof.
What if on our next meeting on September the 25th, the council meets over there, half hour before our regular time, all.
That would be wonderful.
Okay.
Time we're tabling this until the next meeting. Sean, question, Sean?
Yeah, have we thought about maybe a container somewhere down?
On Xbox,
Yeah, on a box, somewhere to put.
you can buy them cheap money, $3,200.
Maybe even a couple of.
Temporary fix, yeah, so.
Get a couple.
Jay and I was looking around, we was thinking of building 40 by 60 would handle everything in there. So 2 of them would be 16 by what, 50 something feet, so.
20 or 40, usually.
So
Usually,
it's not a bad idea, maybe for. Get us through until we can replace the building or what.
But at least we don't lose the items in the building.
Right.
So again, at this time, let's table this until our next meeting. With the council meeting over there before, or, yeah, that's what. Motion made second by Mr. Nutting. All in favor, good, moving on. Next item up, Kelly, come on.
Well, if anybody wants to drive by and just look at it, you know where it is, right behind the fire station at the end of East Street.
Right by Railroad Avenue.
Bring some blocking with you if you've got your ambition.
Kelly, next up.
Last thing, Patty Gorman stopped by the office and dropped us off. I guess September 17th to the 23rd is considered Constitution Week. There's a proclamation that they would like Oakland to carve the sign. Pretty much to emphasize the responsibility of protecting and defending the Constitution and preserving it for prosperity. To understand that the Constitution is our great heritage and the foundation of our lives. And thirdly, to study the historical events which occurred during September 1787. we also would like to participate in that. I can fill this out and.
Cool. Motion's been made, seconded by Dave, all in favor?
That was up to get it back for. That's all I have.
Go to the other. Sure.
And new, or old new business, I guess, you definition, but guys. On the lines of the town ordinances. In the process of viewing many of them. I noticed that it's sometimes difficult to determine when an ordinance was enacted. Or if it was enacted or it's listed on the list, the copy that's on the website. You can't tell if it's been signed or not. Sometimes it will give the names of the council members. Some of the ordinances have signatures of council members that were present. Some of the ordinances have when it was enacted and when it was revised. Some don't have any dates. So I guess my question is, who is responsible for keeping or ensuring they're up to date? I know Janice has posted a lot of them, I presume, on the website because her name is on the bottom of most of them. And the other question is regarding to town ordinances. There is an ordinance relative to the boat landing and that park area, and as well as a separate one for the Pleasant Point area. Who is authorized to use those facilities?
Citizens of Oakland.
It is. My question is why? Is it open to the citizens of Oakland? We don't receive state money for that or federal money to operate those in any way, shape or form? Then why are we?
Just for the boat launch, we had to apply for that. And then we received the grant, thankfully. To renew it.
And I'm surprised that they are only open to the residents of Oakland. And I was flabbergasted when I saw that. I presume this is open, something that's open to the public, in my mind, is open to anybody who can go to that facility. If it's not, then there should be some signage posted, in my opinion. Otherwise, you're baiting.
We never had an issue with it until COVID, there was a big issue.
Well, this ordinance is way before COVID, I'm sure.
Yeah.
My point is, why would it only be open to Oakland residents? And if it is only open to Oakland residents, why isn't it posted as such? That's all. I don't mean to make a mistake. I think it should be open to the public, which includes anybody. Not just Oakland residents.
So we've never kicked anybody out.
I understand that.
We've never, and then.
I understand.
Waterville, Fairfield, actually people from out.
I agree with that. My point is, we shouldn't have an ordinance that says it's not open to anybody else. I'm sorry, it's just, I'm surprised that it's worded that way.
Mr. Woman.
There was an issue a few years ago, more so with Pleasant Park. That basically there was a gate put up because it was open only to the Oakland residents. That's more of a beach area, a field area, et cetera, et cetera. I guess on the boat landing site, putting boats in and out, never thought of it.
But the state, I presume the state is involved in the boat landing.
Yeah.
Because the warden service, well, I guess the town probably puts the.
And it might be the Department of Wildlife Service.
And then fishery.
Yeah, fishermen, because I know they govern the Salmon Lake site. You're probably right, because they're involved, that is open to the public.
Yeah.
I don't know about the.
I think that's just, I mean, as you look at ordinances over time and they just get out of our reach. Something like that, it's easily changed, in my opinion, based on a rewrite and an adoption. Because it's just a practice, it's there, nobody's ever questioned it. My 28 years of being a police officer in this town, I've never received a complaint about people using the boat launch because they live in town.
So, Mr. Woman, do you have anything else? It's tonight. I'm good. So this time, I like it. Sure. I can do that. All right. You didn't stand.
So-
I did sell it.
Well, go ahead. This week to law enforcement and our code enforcement officer, are we aware of the state of the Cascade Mill site?
Yes, contact, try to make contact. Building, installation, so Windows not working, something, I think something. I'm sorry, it's Kelly Marcus, but.
Alright,
I had to call into, DEP. Some guy that handles abandoned building. It's super site and we don't wanna take ownership of it and give the taxes.
I understand, we also have some obligation about safety. And somebody is, if you guys don't know, if you haven't been down there, somebody's gone down and destroyed that, the only nice building down there. And destroyed, every window's been popped out of it. Somebody's gone in, thrown all kinds of stuff from the old metal building out into the roadway. Oh, it's just, it's a mess down there. And
We're on it.
well, we want to make sure that was addressed and we're,
This is, I mean, we had, when we got actually the owner of the property because of one, we. Shouldn't think maybe dog gets that, but we could get permission to put posted in trust on sometimes. The mark or it's a kind of ground to stand on. We're taking kids out of it, it's up right now, so.
it's in our best interest to go and, sorry, at least board the doors. And if we have to board them up and put a lien on it for whatever it costs for materials, but at least board up the doors and windows on the first floor. Second floor, but, so at least they're not in there, because
I agree with boarding it up, I think leaning it actually puts a little more responsibility on it.
the next thing to happen is to. Fire.
Yeah.
Well, seeing as piece of that property is now owned by somebody that I'm related to. We've been through a lot of the legal investigation of that whole property. Like Cascade Woolen, with an LLC, they shut down, how many years ago? I spoke to the owner and he said, it's the town's property. He didn't pay his taxes for the last few years, whatever, and he said, I'm gonna let the town have it. Well, town didn't wanna take it, because then we were responsible for it. I would guess DEP is gonna get involved, and they might say, yeah, it's like PFAS and all those things. We have funds to help do that. It would probably make a very nice piece of town property. Right now, on the books, the property is owned by Cascade LLC. The owner says, there is no more Cascade LLC. They've dissolved, they've gone out of business, they're not a legal entity in the state of Maine anymore. So they don't own the property, the town doesn't own the property, where Butler has been theoretically renting a space from a power company. When my son was looking to purchase that, they couldn't get the power company to agree to lease it anymore. So you've got a building that's owned by Ware Butler, and a piece of property that is not owned by Ware Butler. It's owned by a power company or the LLC. So all that property there, except for my son's 1 acre, which has a building on it, so that's a self-contained piece. But he's right across from the building that's being vandalized. He's been vandalized, he's been broken in, tools have been stolen. We knew going in that there were gonna be some issues, but it is a very convoluted legal issue. And nobody really had wanted to take ownership of it because of potential contamination. But I think with DEP getting involved, and I think the town abuts that piece of property. Our public works area down by the Messalonsky stream and the sewer system that is no longer functioning, abuts that property from Messalonsky stream up to almost Fairfield Street. So we're in the vicinity of it, so it might be the town's best interest to use property for something positive. You know, that building, which is my son, not legal authority or permission or in basically saying, yes, it's a good buy, because you couldn't lease the property that the building was sitting on. That building would make a perfect storage. I forget if I have one.
Yeah, I have a message into DEP, I mean, Nate made a good point that all those other old mills, like in Brunswick and that are near water, those had to have had contaminants in them. And those have all been restored, the Hathaway, you know, stuff like that near water.
They had a brownfield cleanup down there at one time, but it didn't do everything. There's still stuff there.
And that's a grant you can apply for.
Right.
Yeah, I read up on that.
At this time, I'd like to enter into, executive session on the personnel matters in one MRSA, section 405. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming. Have a great night. Appreciate your participation.
All right, do I have a motion?
Have motion, second, all in. It's all black.